What's going on, bottom line viewers? You know what time it is. It's playoff time in the NFL. These are my NFL playoff predictions for this 2022 NFL playoffs. Super Bowl 56. Who will win this year's Super Bowl? Before I give you my full breakdown of my bracket, my analysis of each matchup in the AFC and the NFC, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this and coverage throughout the NFL playoffs, and get in that comment section and let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. If you want to give me your full bracket breakdown, your matchups, your AFC champ, your NFC champ, let me know in the comments, and let's roll with my playoff predictions. We're gonna kick these playoff predictions off with the wild card round. I'm gonna go by each round, starting with the wild card round, and we are going to start with the 2 versus the 7 in the AFC. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chiefs have won the AFC 2 consecutive seasons. They have gone to the Super Bowl 2 consecutive seasons, and they've been to the AFC Championship 3 consecutive seasons. So it's safe to say that the Chiefs are heavily favored to get back there this year. They are the top dog in the AFC, according to the odds makers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, are Ben Roethlisberger's last ride and last hope. I see this game as Kansas City domination at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes and this offense, I think, has found its spark once again. Tyreek Hill is the ultimate weapon, and I don't see a matchup on the Steelers one-on-one. They're going to have to double this guy. They might have to triple this guy. And you know what that means? Travis Kelce is going to go to work. Those tight ends, those shifty slot receiver types, kind of similar to Travis Kelce, do have a lot of success in the middle of the field, finding the holes in the zone. It's going to be a tough day. They're going to have to find a way to put Fitzpatrick on Kelce and try to lock him down that way. I just don't think it's good enough. The Chiefs do have a good enough offensive line to protect Patrick Mahomes, buy him time from TJ Watt, the sack master, and find his receivers down the field on top of his improvisation. Defensively, there's not much that needs to be said here. The Steelers' offense is simply dreadful. They can't pass protect. They can't run block. They're just throwing up fades and prayers down the sidelines to make big plays. And that did work for the Bengals, but there's no Jamar Chase on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Big Ben is not playing like Joe Burrow. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here to win a pretty comfortable, easy game to advance to the divisional round. The other 2 versus 7 matchup in the NFC is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team that faced the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl champions, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that has defeated and lost to Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. The Eagles are led by Jalen Hurts, a underdog story, Rocky Balboa in Philadelphia, but Tom Brady has the eye of the tiger. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are too good, too talented, too experienced, all around. Tom Brady is an assassin. He will get the job done here versus a defense that, yes, has a good pass rush, especially up the middle with Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. They could do damage, but not against one of the better offensive lines in football, maybe the best in Tampa Bay, that protects Tom. Tom gets it out quick. Tom is great at getting the ball, distributing to all receivers, and even without Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown, it doesn't matter. Look for Gronk to have a big game versus these linebackers and this team that gives up a lot of yardage to tight ends, and I expect the Bucs to put up into the 30s. On the flip side, the Eagles want to possess the ball. They want to be physical. They want to run you over with their powerful offensive line, their run quarterback in Jalen Hurts, their dual threat, and then maybe occasionally look for a big play to Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. But I think the Bucs are too good, too stout up front, considering that their players will be back on the edges with Shaq Barrett and JPP. That seals the edge, forces Jalen Hurts to go inside, or the Eagles to go inside right into their power of Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. This is what this front was made for. This is one of the better run defenses in the league. I don't expect the Eagles to have a ton of success there. And when they don't, it forces Jalen Hurts and this weaker receiving core into passing situations. That's where Todd Bowles gets after you. He blitzes you. He causes mistakes. And the Bucs win. I think the Bucs control throughout. The Eagles might hang around due to their fight, but I think the Bucs ultimately are just too much. Back to the AFC with the 3 versus 6 matchup. It is my New England Patriots taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. These two teams have split one each throughout the regular season. The first game, the Patriots looked like the tougher, more physical football team. Old school football ruled the day on Monday night. But the second time, Josh Allen diced up the Patriots' defense and had arguably the best singular performance by a quarterback I've seen all season, considering the opponent, the coach, and the venue. The third time is going to be interesting. Can Josh Allen play just as well as he did in the second game, or will the Patriots physically manhandle the Bills like the first game? I think it's going to be a mix of both, somewhere in between, where the Bills do find more plays than the first game, probably a little bit less win than the first game, which helps Buffalo move the football through the air. But my question is, does Buffalo have enough of a rushing attack to make the Patriots respected? I think the Patriots do a better job in the third game of controlling Josh Allen, getting pressure on Josh Allen, and making life more difficult on Josh Allen than we saw in New England, because Belichick the third time around is not going to make it easy. On the flip side, the question really comes down to, can the Patriots make enough plays in the passing game? Their receiving core isn't excellent. Mac Jones struggles when he's fallen behind early in a game, and really the key for New England is getting and playing from out in front with their running game. It's possible that New England wins this game as the underdog. I think weather, depending on snow, wind, would certainly help their odds in Buffalo. But given Buffalo's experience, given Buffalo has a very good coaching staff that goes toe-to-toe with McDaniels and Belichick every single time, and given the fact that Josh Allen is simply the best player in this game, I can't not pick Josh Allen to come out on top in what is expected to be a one-score game. So give me the Bills here to win on the final drive, win a tough one, but advance to the next round. In the NFC, the 3 versus 6 matchup is a throwback to the 90s. The 90s is very in right now, and what better way to celebrate it than a Steve Young versus Troy Aikman. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo versus Dak Prescott matchup. We've got Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, a dark horse potentially in the NFC, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, a team that is as high-flying as any offense out there, but they have struggled lately to get things going and remain consistent. The Cowboys and Cowboys fans will tell you how much they love their pass rush entering these playoffs, and that could be a difference maker versus Jimmy Garoppolo, who can be a little bit in the pocket shaky. When you look at this game, though, I think it could be a shootout. On both sides, I think both offenses have big-time advantages. For the Cowboys, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the perimeter, facing a weaker secondary and specifically cornerback group of the Niners, should find success as long as Tyron Smith and company can hold back Nick Bosa and company for the 49ers. Dak should find success, but that hasn't always been consistent late this season. On the flip side, Shanahan is a mastermind of offensive football, especially when it comes to running the football, and the Cowboys can be susceptible in that area. The Cowboys haven't faced a lot of upper echelon offenses this year, and I do think the 49ers could expose their defense, especially if they do play a lot of cover one, which they typically do. I could see George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and these receivers and playmakers going off in this game if they trust their playmakers in the back end for the Cowboys to play too much man-on-man. So I think both quarterbacks find success. I think both offenses find success. And it ultimately comes down to who can possess the ball, who can play on their terms, and who can maybe make a couple plays on defense. And I think the 49ers are real legitimate underdogs here that can pull off the upset because of potentially their ability with Nick Bosa to get to the quarterback on top of their experience in these big games. The 49ers just 2 seasons ago went to the Super Bowl. Garoppolo turns it on in these moments, and the 49ers know what it takes to win. And I feel like Kyle Shanahan and his scheme is going to be a handful for Dan Quinn. And I think ultimately Kyle will get the upper hand on his former boss, and I think the Niners are going to take this one in an upset. Flipping it back to the AFC with the 4 versus 5 matchup, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bungles are no more. The Bengals will be hosting a playoff game and looking to win their first playoff game since the early 90s, which is absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, Derek Carr has never actually started in a playoff game, so this is going to be a big moment for him. The Raiders have been an epic story and one that I've cheered on from the very beginning, from that Ravens Monday Night Football game to the very end versus the Chargers. It was nearly a tie, but they ended up just winning, baby. This game, I feel, could be closer than people expect. I think people just expect the Bengals to steamroll the Raiders like the first game, but I could see Derek Carr with Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Josh Jacobs making this game competitive through their offense, their ability to possess the ball, their ability to create big plays. Derek Carr just comes through in the clutch consistently for this team all season long. They were just so good in one-score games, but the same can be said with Joe Burrow and the Bengals with his weaponry on the outside. And I think ultimately 2 inexperienced coaching staffs, 2 inexperienced teams as a whole. Gus Bradley's defensive scheme is a little bit vanilla for my liking. I do think their defensive line, Max Crosby in particular, could give some issues to the Bengals and Joe Burrow, but I think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, these guys are so dynamic. These guys get open down the field. They create plays after the catch. And I think in what could be a back and forth contest, those guys are the difference. I just don't think the Raiders can cover these guys all day long. And I think Joe Burrow, the way that he's been playing as of late, rides the hot streak into the wild card round and into the divisional round with a win over the Raiders. The final wild card matchup is the 4 versus the 5 in the NFC. The Cardinals, the Rams, they've played twice already, splitting 1 each. Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, both these teams have finished the season rather inconsistently. The Cardinals are actually losing games, while the Rams have lost 1 or 2, but have mostly been able to come out on top. It's really difficult to pick this game. I can't decide, honestly. I think you lean towards the Rams because they've been building for the playoffs. They've been building for this moment. They've got more playmakers on their side with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on defense. Offensively, Cooper Kupp's been a machine, uncoverable. Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson. This team, Sean McVay, the experience of the coaching staff, you would feel like they should win, right? I don't know why, but I kind of feel like the Cardinals are going to take this one. I don't mind how the Cardinals match up with the Rams. I am a little bit concerned about the Rams' ability to slow down opponents on their defensive side of the football. The Cardinals, remember that second game? They had a clear opportunity to go up 10-0. They actually ended up getting a tipped interception on the goal line. That completely changes the game. I feel like they've had their number a little bit this year with Kyler's ability to distribute to so many different options. I think that's very helpful versus a Rams team that's really Jalen Ramsey in the secondary and not much else. So with D-Hop potentially back, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, Chase Edmonds out of the backfield, James Conner potentially, these guys can all go to work in the passing game. Kyler's ability to scramble around and make plays and make the impossible happen. Rodney Hudson going one-on-one with Aaron Donald traditionally has done okay. I think the Cardinals can move the ball, possess the ball, and score some points. On the flip side, I am not a fan of the way Matthew Stafford is turning the ball over, the way the Rams have been so inconsistent and spotty on offense. I think because they're so big play oriented, it allows the other team to play on their terms, to possess the ball, to win time of possession. And I don't like that for the Rams. I think they need to maintain a consistent rushing attack. But with J.J. Watt back in the fold for the Cardinals, I think that gives them a massive advantage in the run game. If he is in fact back, that would be huge. I also like the way the Cardinals can play from a speed perspective at the second level with their linebackers. I think the Cardinals, sure, are going to give up some points. Stafford's going to make some big plays, but I think ultimately the Cardinals might be the more consistent offense in this game, and that's what I'm leaning towards. I also really like the way the Cardinals are coached on defense. So I'm going to take the upset. I don't think either of these teams are going to go very far in the playoffs, so whoever advances, I'm not going to be super confident in, but I'm going to take the Cardinals here, kind of regretfully, I guess. Now, the divisional round, kicking it off with the AFC 1 versus 4 matchup. We have the Tennessee Titans fresh off the bye with King Henry back in the fold, taking on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this would be an epic matchup potentially between Joe Burrow's passing arsenal versus King Henry's rushing run-heavy approach. I think the Titans would try to take it physically to the Bengals, and I think the Bengals' opportunity to win this game would sorely rely on their ability to play power football on their defensive side of things. Can they hold up in the ground game, stopping the run? They've been okay all year, but they haven't really played a team like the Titans very often. I remember earlier in the year, the Browns were able to gash them consistently with Nick Chubb. And I think A.J. Brown could be maybe a problem for this secondary, just in terms of a pure matchup standpoint for the Bengals. I think the Titans can do enough offensively to possess the ball with Derrick Henry, grind out some yards, make some plays with A.J. Brown through the passing game to have success offensively. On the flip side, I do think the Bengals have a way to win this game, and it's through their receivers. The Titans' corners are definitely the weakness of this defense, and if they can protect Burrow long enough, they can make big plays versus this secondary and consistently get the ball out. I see a lot of empty formation for Burrow, getting the ball out, distributing to his receivers, but I am scared about that pass rush of the Titans, that four-man rush, and Mike Vrabel's ability to scheme to take away certain things within this offense. And the matchup between Vrabel and Zach Taylor does scare me from picking the Bengals. So I'm going to side with Mike Vrabel and the former Pat to win this game over the Bengals. I just think the Titans are more battle-tested, they are more experienced, and they know how to play in this environment at home. They don't let this slip. They move to the AFC Championship game. Staying in the AFC here, Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills. 2 versus 3. This game would be played in Arrowhead. Fresh off of a tough game over the Patriots, I think this gives a ton of confidence for the Bills to play physical football in the next round because they know the Chiefs cannot be more physical than the Patriots. On top of that, they are really confident after knowing that they can beat the Chiefs now, beating them earlier this year in a big spot on a primetime setting. Josh Allen, to me, has been the better player than Patrick Mahomes this year. His ability to run the ball and pass the ball as a two-way monster, I think could be the X factor of this game. The Chiefs and Spagnuolo, they want to be creative. They want to get after you through a multitude of blitzes, and that leaves a lot of matchups on the perimeter to exploit, and that leads lanes to be able to run and use QB power and gash them with Josh Allen. And I think this is the way that the Bills can move the football. The receiver matchups versus man-to-man coverage, Diggs and company, Allen just put the ball in his hands and he'll make the plays. And on the flip side, the Bills defense is number 1 in DVOA. They did a very good job at confusing Mahomes earlier in the year and causing some mistakes. I don't think they completely shut down the Chiefs here, but I think they make it a lot tougher on Mahomes than the Chiefs do on Allen. And I think ultimately the difference in this game is that the Bills are just a tiny bit more balanced on both sides of the ball. Now, the Bills don't have much of a run game, but neither do the Chiefs, and I think that's why it just comes down to which defense plays better in this moment, and I think the Bills defense plays better for this moment. The Bills get their revenge. They win this game this year, and they advance to the AFC Championship. Back in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, the number 1 seed in the NFC, host the number 6 San Francisco 49ers. And I'm telling you this right now, the Packers do not want to see the San Francisco 49ers. They do not want to see the 49ers. This is a team that in the last couple of years has kind of had the Packers number. Now, the Packers beat them in a primetime game in week 3, Sunday Night Football, by a field goal, by a miraculous Aaron Rodgers last-second drive sort of thing. They came back in that game. They made enough plays, but that was really before the 49ers got their offense clicking. On top of that, the 49ers beat them in the playoffs a couple years ago. And just to be honest, Kyle Shanahan has Matt LaFleur's number from a coaching perspective. As good as LaFleur has been, when these two teams match up, it is clear that Kyle knows the ins and outs of Matt LaFleur's scheme, offense, and can attack this defense. I look at this matchup, and I think this is a one-score game either way. I think Aaron Rodgers could have a nice day throwing against a susceptible secondary and cornerback group. The thing with the Packers is, it's Davante Adams, it's Davante Adams, it's Davante Adams, and he's probably going to have a huge game. Can the other guys step up here? And on top of that, can the Packers offensive line, which has had guys in and out, Bakhtiari probably back for this game, in the playoffs, can they protect Nick Bosa and company? That has been a problem for them in the past. I think Rodgers makes a lot of plays. I think they score points, but I also think there's times where that pass rush makes some tough plays and really forces Rodgers to beat them, because I think Jones and Dillon are not going to find a lot of success against this front seven with Fred Warner and this good run defense. So I think it's going to be on the Packers to pass the ball. On the flip side, the 49ers can run the ball on pretty much anybody, and especially a Packers team who is susceptible to allowing big, gashing, big play runs. You look at the Browns' strategy, their game plan. You look at how the Vikings beat the Packers. It was not by stopping Rodgers. It was by outscoring Rodgers, or at least making that game close in the Browns sense. It was by possessing the ball, and I think the 49ers know that. I think they come into this game, run the ball, and I think George Kittle is a huge X factor in this game. There's not really anyone on the Packers that could cover his size and speed combination. Deebo Samuel is a challenge because he's in the slot a lot of the times. So are you going to put Alexander in the slot there? And then that leaves Brandon Ayuk with a matchup. So Kyle could be really creative. I feel like the run game for the 49ers takes over this game, possesses the ball, and does enough to keep Rodgers off balance. I think the 49ers could go into Lambeau and upset the Packers. And that is my pick for my major upset of these playoffs. Give me the 49ers to go to the NFC Championship. The number 2 versus number 5 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Arizona Cardinals. This is Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles and this coaching staff's former team that they took to an NFC Championship in 2015. Tom Brady playing Kyler Murray for, I believe, the first time. This would be a very intriguing matchup because we've never really seen it before, so both of these teams would have a fresh take on each other. I think this is where the Bucs experience comes into play. The Cardinals are a rather inexperienced group from a coaching perspective, from a quarterback perspective, and the speed of Lavonte David and Devin White could potentially help contain Kyler Murray in this one. On top of that, I think the Bucs have one of the few secondaries that can actually match up with the depth and the wealth of the Cardinals receiving core. I look at Tom Brady in this offense, and they'll have to be balanced in this game, attack with playoff Lenny, use Gronk, use his size specifically versus guys like Baker and potentially Simmons. And then Mike Evans is really the guy in this game that could completely take over with no real legitimate perimeter option for the Cardinals to cover him. That could be a 2-touchdown, 100-yard type of day. I think Tom Brady and the champs know how to handle this one in their home building. I think they win it, and I think they win it kind of convincingly. The NFC Championship game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the San Francisco 49ers, fresh off their upset of the Packers. And a lot of buzz is going to begin for the 49ers to be that just Cinderella story type team. Garoppolo versus Brady. The narratives write themselves. And it is an opportunity for Garoppolo to beat Brady. And it's an opportunity for Brady to get back at Garoppolo, so to speak, for all of the Belichick drama of the past. Kyle Shanahan certainly would have the edge from a coaching scheme perspective, but Todd Bowles is a guy that just does not let people run on him. So it would force Jimmy Garoppolo to be the key ingredient to the 49ers' success in this one. I saw this game in 2019, the year that the 49ers went to the Super Bowl, and I saw a Bucs team with Jameis Winston nearly knock off that team if it weren't for a couple, of course, Jameis Winston pick sixes. But Tom Brady attacking a weaker secondary with a great offensive line to negate the great pass rush of the 49ers. I think this is a game where the Bucs put up into the 30s, especially at home. And I just don't think with the 49ers not being able to run the ball consistently on Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett and Levante David, that Garoppolo can go toe-to-toe with the great one, with the GOAT. So I think that the Bucs win. Could the 49ers hang around? They're very physical, yes. Going through the Packers would prove that they're a good team. But I think this is more of the Bucs being a tough matchup for the 49ers, the same way that the 49ers are a tough matchup for the Packers. The Bucs win this game and go to the Super Bowl once again to defend their crown. In my AFC Championship, the Tennessee Titans host the Buffalo Bills, the 1 versus the 3. Josh Allen, Derrick Henry. This is a game we've seen twice in the last 2 years, and the Titans have taken both games. In the game earlier this year, it felt like the Bills had that game. They let it slip away, and ultimately at the end, Josh Allen fell on his face on a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak that ended that game. The Titans were the winners. But will they win this one? I think Josh Allen is the guy in the AFC, and I have so much confidence in him with the chips on the table. I think he's going to win this game for the Bills, straight up. I just don't believe that Ryan Tannehill, if this is a toe-to-toe matchup, score-for-score matchup, let's say Derrick Henry is going off, like he's got 200 yards. I don't think the Titans can really slow down the Bills all that much. Sure, could they get an odd pass rush? Sure. But Josh Allen escapes it. He makes plays outside the pocket. He makes throws across the sidelines. I mean, he's unbelievable. I've seen it firsthand. And to me, that ability to dice up this secondary of the Titans to make the throws necessary. The passing game of the Bills outduels the running game of the Titans. You can only do so much when running the ball. At a certain point, you're gonna need to pass the ball. And I think in a lot of ways, the Titans come up short. And I think the Bills experience playing the Patriots 3 times, a team that is very similar to the Titans. They want to pound the ball, they want to out-physical you, they want to out-tough you. I think the Bills' experience of playing that team 3 times helps them advance to the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen is the leader. Bills to Super Bowl 56. And in Super Bowl 56, we've got Tom Brady and the Bucs taking on his rival, the team that he's owned more than any other team in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. We saw this game earlier in the year where the Bills almost came back in Tampa Bay on the Bucs. This game would be really exciting. I think the Bills kind of showed their hand with what they were able to do versus Tampa Bay in that first game, to be able to run with Josh Allen, the quarterback powers. That's how they came back in the game. And the Bucs somewhat took the foot off the gas until they really needed it. And that has me wondering whether the game would be similar to the Bucs and Chiefs last year in the rematch or not. And it could be. right? It could be due to the injuries that the Bucs had, similar to the Chiefs last year, where maybe the Bills defense this time around stifles Tom Brady and makes it difficult on him. I don't know though. It's really tough to bet against Tom Brady in this scenario. Josh Allen is a beast though. I think this game would be super entertaining, and I do think it would go down to the wire. I think the difference in the game is the Bills' inability to be balanced and the Bucs' ability to be balanced. I think Leonard Fournette could be big in this game. The power offensive line and the size matchup of the Bucs versus a smaller D-line of the Bills is a challenging one for Buffalo. I don't think they're going to get a hand on Brady, and I don't think they're going to really be able to stop the run versus Fournette. So it allows the Bucs to be in good down and distance and allows them to control the game from a time of possession standpoint, keeping Allen on the sidelines. On top of that, it's going to be all Allen. And like Mahomes, with 2 weeks to prepare for this game, I think Todd Bowles has like a million different ways to attack the pocket, to flush him out, to force him the way he wants to go, to blitz him every which way. And just like Mahomes, I think Allen's going to find a very difficult time to beat this defense consistently. So I think at the end of the day, it's another Super Bowl for Tampa Bay here in this matchup. I think they go back to back, just as I thought at the beginning of the year. And I'm not backing down from that assessment and that prediction despite their injuries. But I will say this. If they do go back to back, it says something about Tom Brady because without Godwin, without AB, and all they've been through this year as a football team with their injuries, this would be an extremely impressive run to go through who they went through to win it. But I do think they're the best team in a rather weak year, and I think with the best guy in the GOAT, Tom Brady, they should find a way to win it with their experience, their big game potential. They put it all together and they go back to back. It won't be easy, but I think they're the team to do it. My Super Bowl MVP, let's go with something different. Let's go with Leonard Fournette. There you guys have it. My Super Bowl prediction, my playoff predictions. I know I picked the same one as I did last year. I was right, sort of, last year. We'll see if I'm right, sort of, this year in a year that's been entirely impossible to predict. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.